In this video, we're going to review how to solve literal equations. A literal equation is an equation with two or more variables. So for example, an equation may be completely made up, might say that 3x plus 4y divided by 9 is equal to z plus 6. Okay, so this would be an example of a literal equation. It has actually three variables, x, y, and z, completely made up, but that's okay. Okay, let's suppose I wanted to solve for x. So I wanted to know what x would be equal to. What's important to realize is that whatever I do normally to solve equations, I'm going to do with the literal equations, even if it looks a little bit messier. So because I have this in the numerator, this in the denominator, before I can touch anything up here, I need to get rid of the 9. So I'm going to multiply by 9 on both sides, because whatever I do to the one side, I need to do to the other. So I get 3x plus 4y is going to equal, and I'm going to choose to distribute the 9. So 9z plus 54. Okay. My next step is keeping in mind that I want to solve for x. It's going to be the first thing, is to figure out what I want. The next thing I want to do is get rid of this 4y. So I'm going to choose to subtract 4y from both sides. Okay. So I'm going to be left with 3x is going to equal, I'm going to choose to write as negative 4y plus 9z plus 54. And at this point, to get the x by itself, I'm going to just divide by 3, which means I need to divide every single term by 3. So in this case, x will equal negative 4/3 y plus 3z plus 18. So I've rearranged this literal equation with solving for x. So kind of just a couple basic rules. Make sure whatever you're doing to one side of the equation, you're going to do to the other side. Make sure you're not breaking apart anything that might be in parentheses. In this case, the fraction is an unwritten set of parentheses. And then you want to try and simplify it as much as you can. There are other ways of writing sort of the literal equations that would be equivalent to this, but I think that this is probably the most simplified for this particular one. Also, when we begin talking equations, it's important to keep in mind formulas. Formulas are a specific type of literal equation that shows a relationship. So a couple of pretty common formulas would be as follows. These are just a few of the most common formulas that we know, most of which are from geometry, although some of them, like distance traveled, distance equals rate times time, comes in from word problems, and temperature from converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit. We can also take these formulas and rewrite them in another form, and this is where it might come in handy. Like for example, temperature. Let's suppose I'm giving you a temperature in Celsius, and I want to know what would the temperature be in Fahrenheit. So I am going to choose to take this formula, C equals 5/9 times Fahrenheit minus 32. Most times in Fahrenheit, like if I say area equals length times width, L is commonly known as length, W is commonly known as width, A is area, okay, so on and so forth. So some of the letters are naturally assigned of a particular value. But back to my problem. The first thing I got to do is get rid of the 5/9. So I'm going to multiply by 9/5. Okay, so these cancel out. Now I don't need to distribute this to the inside because I have something times something, so just by multiplying the number in front, I'm able to get rid of it. So then my next step will be then to add 32 to both sides. So my Fahrenheit temperature will equal 9/5 of the temperature in Celsius, and then I have to add 32. So just a very common way of why this solving literal equations, being able to rearrange to manipulate an expression or formula or literal equation would come in handy.